The massive station floated in the dark space between stars. It was bigger than most moons and filled with strange machines that hummed with power. This was the home of the Great Scanner, the most powerful device ever built by the Galactic Concordium. Hyunwoo Kim walked through the long metal halls of the station. His footsteps echoed in the quiet corridors. He was one of only 12 humans working on the station, and today was special. Today they would begin the 1,000-year survey of all thinking species in the galaxy. Hyunwoo stopped at a large window and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there was Earth, his home world. He had not seen it in 3 years. But his job here was important. As a cultural liaison, he helped the alien scientists understand different species they found. The scanner room was enormous. In the center sat a crystal structure the size of a building. It glowed with soft blue light and made a deep humming sound that Hyunwoo could feel in his bones. This was the quantum consciousness reader, built by the Vorthak Empire. They were beings made of living crystal who could think faster than any organic mind. "Hyunwoo, come here," called a voice that sounded like wind chimes. It was Kethvar, the lead Vorthak operator. The crystal being stood 12 feet tall and sparkled with inner light. "We are ready to begin." Minji Park looked up from her control station and smiled at Hyunwoo. She was the only other human in the scanner room, a skilled technician who kept all the machines running perfectly. Her screen showed thousands of numbers and symbols that changed every second. "How many species will we scan today?" Hyunwoo asked. "The scanner will examine 50 worlds in the first cycle," Kethvar replied. "Each species will be analyzed and classified by their primary trait. This information helps the Concordium understand how to communicate with them." Other alien operators took their positions around the room. There were the tall, thin Zephyrians with their silver skin and large eyes. The molten Corvani looked like walking lava in special cooling suits. The gaseous Nethari floated in transparent containers, their cloudy forms shifting colors as they thought. "Beginning scan sequence," announced Kethvar. The crystal scanner pulsed brighter, and waves of energy spread out into space faster than light itself. The first world appeared on the main screen. It showed a planet covered in purple oceans and golden continents. Small cities dotted the surface, connected by gleaming roads. "Species designation, Zephyrians," the scanner announced in a mechanical voice. "Primary trait, peaceful traders. Analysis complete." The Zephyrian operators made pleased sounds. Their people were indeed known throughout the galaxy as honest merchants who never fought wars. The second world was a ball of molten rock with massive structures built right into the flowing lava. Creatures of living metal moved between the buildings, creating incredible works of art and engineering. "Species designation, Corvani," the scanner said. "Primary trait, master builders. Analysis complete." Again, the reading was perfect. The Corvani had built some of the most beautiful structures in known space. World after world appeared on the screen. Each time, the scanner quickly identified the species and their main trait. The gaseous Yelthari were supreme philosophers. The insect-like Kritak were efficient organizers. The plant-based Silvani were natural healers. Hyunwoo watched with growing interest. Every species seemed to have one thing they did better than anyone else. It made sense. Specialization helped species survive and find their place in the galaxy. Hours passed. The scanner worked through dozens of worlds without any problems. Minji's screens showed normal readings for every scan. Everything was working exactly as designed. Then they reached a small yellow star on the outer edge of the galaxy. The scanner focused on the third planet from the star. It was blue and green with white clouds swirling around it. "Oh," Hyunwoo said quietly, "that's Earth." The scanner began its analysis, but something was wrong. Instead of the quick reading they had seen for every other world, the machine hesitated. The crystal structure flickered and the humming sound changed pitch. Minji frowned at her screens. "The scanner is having trouble," she said. "I'm seeing error messages." "What kind of errors?" Kethvar asked, his crystal body brightening with concern. "It keeps trying to classify the humans, but the readings don't match any known patterns," Minji replied. Her fingers moved quickly over her controls. "The scanner is running the same test over and over." The room fell silent except for the changing hum of the scanner. All the alien operators watched the screens with growing worry. The great scanner had never failed before. It was supposed to be perfect. Minutes turned into an hour. The scanner kept working, drawing more power, analyzing the same planet again and again. The error messages on Minji's screen multiplied. "Should we skip this world and move on?" suggested one of the Nathari operators. Its gaseous form swirled nervously in its container. "No," Kethvar said firmly. "The scanner must complete its analysis. There has never been a species it could not classify." Hyunwoo stared at the image of his home world on the screen. What was so different about humans that the most advanced scanner in the galaxy could not understand them? Suddenly, all the error messages disappeared. The scanner's humming returned to normal. The screens went blank for a moment, then displayed a single line of text. "Species designation, humans," the scanner announced. "Primary trait, first in relentless spirit. Analysis complete." The room erupted in confused chatter. The alien operators talked excitedly in their various languages. None of them had ever heard of this classification before. "First in relentless spirit," Minji said, reading from her screen. "What does that mean?" Kethvar moved closer to the main display, his crystal form pulsing with thought. "In all our records, no species has ever received this classification. The scanner's database contains information on over 10,000 sentient races, but this trait appears nowhere. Is it an error?" asked a Zephyrian operator. "The scanner does not make errors," Kethvar replied. "But this result is unprecedented." Hyunwoo looked at the image of Earth still glowing on the main screen. His homeworld looked so peaceful from space, with its blue oceans and green land. But apparently there was something about humanity that made them unique among all the species in the galaxy. "What happens now?" he asked. Kethvar turned to face him, crystal facets catching the light. "Now we must inform the Concordium High Council. They will want to investigate this anomaly immediately." The scanner moved on to the next world, quickly classifying a species of underwater dwellers as masterful swimmers, but everyone's attention remained on the strange reading from Earth. Hyunwoo wondered what it meant to be first in relentless spirit. Was it good or bad? Would it help humanity, or cause them trouble with the galactic government? As the scanner continued its work through the outer rim worlds, he couldn't shake the feeling that this discovery would change everything for his species. The humans had been marked as different, as something the galaxy had never seen before. And that, Hyunwoo knew from his studies of galactic history, was either very good news or very dangerous news indeed. 3 days after the strange scanner reading, Fleet Commander Jinwoo Lee received his orders from Concordium headquarters. He stood in his private quarters aboard the investigation ship Harmony, reading the message on his personal screen. "Proceed immediately to Sol system. Investigate species designation anomaly. Determine meaning of classification. First in relentless spirit. Report findings to High Council within 30 standard days." Jinwoo had served in the Concordium fleet for 15 years. He had visited dozens of worlds and met hundreds of alien species, but he had never been sent to investigate his own people before. The journey to Earth took 2 weeks through hyperspace. During the trip, Jinwoo studied everything the Concordium knew about humans. The files were surprisingly thin. Humanity had only joined the galactic community 5 years ago, and most of the information came from trade agreements and technology exchanges. What he found in the files troubled him. Humans had a history of constant warfare. They had fought each other for thousands of years before learning to travel between stars. Most species stopped fighting themselves once they developed advanced technology. Humans seemed different. When the Harmony arrived at Earth, Jinwoo was surprised by what he saw. The planet buzzed with activity. Space stations orbited the world like metal moons. Ships moved constantly between the surface and the orbital facilities. It looked more like the home system of an ancient, spacefaring race than a world that had just learned to leave its own solar system. Jinwoo landed at the main spaceport in what humans called Korea. The building was new but already being expanded. Construction robots worked day and night to add more landing platforms. Suman Choi met him at the arrival gate. She was the planetary representative for human-alien relations, a woman in her 40s with kind eyes and a firm handshake. "Welcome to Earth, Commander Lee," she said with a warm smile. "We are honored by your visit." "Thank you, Representative Choi. I hope my investigation will not be too disruptive." "Not at all. We are curious about this scanner reading ourselves. What does it mean to be first in relentless spirit?" Jinwoo had no answer for her. "That is what I am here to discover." Suman took him to a comfortable office in the government building. The walls were covered with pictures of human achievements. Jinwoo saw images of the first human moon landing, the first Mars colony, the first faster-than-light ship built with Concordium help. "I would like to interview various humans about your species' history and nature," Jinwoo said. "Perhaps that will help explain the scanner's reading." "Of course. I have arranged meetings with people from different backgrounds. Scientists, engineers, explorers, even some military leaders." Over the next week, Jinwoo spoke with dozens of humans. Each interview taught him something new about this puzzling species. Dr. Minho Park, a nuclear engineer, told him about human energy development. "We went from burning wood to splitting atoms in just a few thousand years," he said proudly. "Now we are working on fusion power that will be better than anything the Concordium has shared with us. Why not just use the technology we have already given you?" Jinwoo asked. Minho looked surprised by the question. "Because we can do better. We always try to do better." Captain Nyan Jung, a military officer, showed him human battle history. The walls of her office were covered with maps of ancient wars and modern conflicts. "Your people fought constantly," Jinwoo observed, "even against impossible odds." "Yes," Nayeon agreed. "We have a saying, never give up, never surrender." Even when defeat seemed certain, humans kept fighting. At the Battle of Thermopylae, 300 soldiers held off an army of thousands. During World War II, people fought against overwhelming enemy forces and won. We do not accept defeat. But the interview that really opened Jinwoo's eyes came from Taehyung Nam, a space engineer working on humanity's newest project. Taehyung led him through a massive construction facility in orbit around Earth. Inside, hundreds of humans worked on building something Jinwoo had never seen before. "What is this?" he asked, looking at the enormous ship taking shape. "Our first completely independent deep space exploration vessel," Taehyung replied with pride. "No Concordium technology, no alien help. Built entirely by human hands and human minds." Jinwoo was shocked. "But why?" "The Concordium has offered to share our best starship designs with you." Taehyung stopped working and looked at him directly. "Because we need to do this ourselves. If we always use your technology, we will never learn to build our own. We will never grow beyond what you give us. But this will take years longer than using our designs." "So what? Time does not matter. What matters is that we keep moving forward on our own strength." That evening, Jinwoo walked through the streets of Seoul. The city never seemed to sleep. Construction sites worked around the clock. Research facilities burned with lights all night long. Even in the middle of the night, humans were busy building, learning, growing. He stopped at a small park and sat on a bench. An elderly man was there feeding birds from a bag of seeds. "You look troubled, young man," the old man said in Korean. "I am trying to understand something about humans," Jinwoo replied. "Why do your people never seem to rest? Why do you always push forward, even when it would be easier to stop?" The old man smiled and threw another handful of seeds to the birds. "Because that is what humans do. We climb every mountain because it is there. We explore every ocean because we can. We reach for every star because they call to us. It is our nature. But why? Because if we stop moving forward, we start dying. A human at rest is not really a human at all." The next day, Jinwoo met with Seokjin Yu, Earth's first interstellar pilot. Seokjin had just returned from his third attempt to reach the nearest star system outside Concordium space. All 3 missions had failed due to equipment problems. "Are you discouraged by these failures?" Jinwoo asked. Seokjin laughed. "Failures? These were not failures. They were learning experiences. Each mission taught us something new. The first trip showed us our engines were not efficient enough. The second revealed problems with our life support systems. The third taught us about navigation in deep space. But you did not reach your destination." "Not yet, but we will. I am already preparing for the 4th mission. This time we will succeed because we learned from our mistakes. What if the 4th mission also has problems? Then we will try a 5th time, and a 6th, and a 7th. We will keep trying until we succeed." That night, Jinwoo sat in his quarters writing his preliminary report. He was beginning to understand what the scanner had detected in humanity. Every other species in the galaxy seemed to reach a point where they were satisfied with their achievements. They found their place in the cosmic order and stayed there. Humans were different. They never stopped pushing, never stopped growing, never accepted that they had reached their limits. But Jinwoo was not sure if this was good news or bad news for the galaxy. A species that never stopped advancing could become either the greatest ally or the most dangerous threat the Concordium had ever encountered. He would need to investigate more before he could make that determination. Dr. Yejihan had always been curious about patterns. As a xenobiologist studying at the Concordium Science Institute, she spent her days looking for connections between different life forms across the galaxy. When she heard about the human investigation, she volunteered immediately to join the research team. Now she sat in her temporary laboratory on Earth, surrounded by data from thousands of species. The Concordium had given her access to their complete biological and cultural database. She was looking for something that might explain why humans were so different. Her assistant, a young Zephyrian named Veltar, brought her another cup of the bitter earth drink called coffee. Yeji had developed a taste for it during her 3 weeks on the planet. "Have you found anything interesting, Doctor?" Veltar asked. "More than interesting," Yeji replied, pointing at the large screen on her wall. "I think I have found something that will shock the entire Concordium." The screen showed growth charts for dozens of species. Each line started low and climbed upward, showing how civilizations developed over time. But every single line eventually flattened out into a straight horizontal path. "Look at this," Yeji said, highlighting the Vorthak data. "They reached their peak crystal technology about 50,000 years ago. Since then, their development has remained completely flat." She switched to another chart. "The Zephyrians perfected their trading methods 12,000 years ago. No major changes since then." Chart after chart showed the same pattern. Every species in the galaxy reached a point where they stopped growing. They found what they were good at and stayed there forever. "But what about humans?" Veltar asked. Yeji smiled and brought up the human data. The line started much lower than most species, but it climbed steadily upward with no sign of leveling off. "Humans have no peak," she said quietly. "Their development never stops." "That seems impossible." "I thought so too. But look at their history." Yeji pulled up timeline after timeline of human development. In medicine, they went from simple herbs to complex surgeries to genetic therapy in just a few centuries. In transportation, they moved from walking to sailing to flying to space travel in even less time. Every time they master something, they immediately start working on the next challenge, she explained. "They never say this is good enough, but surely they must have some limits." "Let me show you something," Yeji said, switching to a recent video file. The screen showed Captain Seokjin Yu preparing for another space mission. This was his 4th attempt to reach an unexplored star system. His previous 3 missions had all failed, but he showed no signs of giving up. In the video, a reporter asked him, "Captain, why do you keep trying when the missions keep failing?" Seokjin smiled at the camera. "Because each failure teaches us something new. The first mission showed us our engines were too weak, so we built stronger engines. The second mission revealed problems with our computers, so we made better computers. The third mission taught us about radiation shielding, so we improved our protection. But when will you stop trying?" "When we succeed. And after we succeed, we will try something even harder." Yeji paused the video and turned to her assistant. "Do you see? Humans do not view failure as a reason to stop. They see it as information for how to improve." Over the next few days, Yeji compiled more evidence. She studied human art, which constantly evolved new styles and techniques. She examined their science, which never stopped asking new questions. She looked at their technology, which improved every year without exception. The most striking example came from their space program. When their first Mars colony failed due to equipment problems, other species might have decided Mars was too dangerous to colonize. Instead, humans used the failure to design better life support systems. Their second Mars colony succeeded and became a thriving city. "It is like they are allergic to staying in one place," Veltar observed. "Exactly," Yeji agreed, "and I think I know why." She had been studying human brain scans provided by Earth medical facilities. Human brains were structured differently from most other species. The areas responsible for curiosity and dissatisfaction were much larger than normal. "Humans are literally built to be restless," she explained to Commander Lee during their weekly meeting. "Their brains are designed to always want more, to always seek improvement." "Is this good or bad for the galaxy?" Jinwoo asked. "I do not know yet, but I can tell you it is unprecedented." To test her theory, Yeji arranged to observe several human research projects. She visited a laboratory where scientists were working on faster-than-light communication. The Concordium had told them such technology was impossible, but the humans were trying anyway. Dr. Jiwon Song, the project leader, showed her their progress. "We have achieved instantaneous communication across distances of up to 1 light-year," she said proudly. The Concordium experts said this was impossible. Yeji pointed out. "The Concordium experts were wrong," Jiwon replied simply. "Just because something has never been done before does not mean it cannot be done. What will you do when you perfect this technology?" "Share it with everyone, of course. Then start working on something even better." Yeji was amazed. Most species would keep such a breakthrough secret to maintain their advantage. Humans wanted to give it away and then move on to the next challenge. She visited a construction site where humans were building underwater cities in Earth's oceans. The project faced enormous technical challenges, but the workers seemed excited by the difficulties rather than discouraged. "The harder the problem, the more interesting it becomes," explained Chief Engineer Kyung-min Oh. "Easy problems are boring. What if this project fails? Then we learn from the failure and try again with better designs." Everywhere Yeji looked, she found the same pattern. Humans turned obstacles into opportunities. They treated impossible challenges as invitations. They never accepted that something could not be done. But the most revealing moment came during a conversation with a human child. Yeji was visiting a school when a 10-year-old girl named Heron Shin approached her. The child had been studying different alien species and had questions. "Dr. Han, why do all the alien species seem so satisfied with staying the same?" The question surprised Yeji. "What do you mean?" "Well, the Vorthak have been making the same kind of crystals for thousands of years. The Zephyrians always trade the same way. Do not they want to try new things? Perhaps they are happy with what they have achieved." Heron looked puzzled. "But if you stop trying new things, how do you grow? How do you become better? Maybe they do not want to become better." "That does not make sense," the child said. "Everyone should want to become better. That is the whole point of being alive." That evening, Yeji called Commander Lee with her conclusions. "I believe the scanner reading is correct," she told him. "Humans are indeed first in relentless spirit. They are the only species we have found that never stops growing, never stops pushing forward, never accepts limitations as permanent." Is this dangerous? It could be. A species that never stops advancing could eventually surpass everyone else in the galaxy. Or they could lift everyone else up with them. I have observed that humans do not keep their advances to themselves. They share their knowledge freely, as if they want the whole galaxy to grow alongside them. Jinwoo was quiet for a long moment. "So what do we tell the High Council?" "The truth. Humanity represents something completely new in the galaxy. They are either going to be our greatest blessing or our greatest challenge. Maybe both." "Yes," Yeji agreed. "Maybe both." As she ended the call and prepared for bed, Yeji looked out her window at the lights of Seoul. The city never slept. Even at midnight, humans were working, building, dreaming of tomorrow. She had spent her whole career studying different species, but none had ever kept her awake at night, wondering what they might accomplish next. Humans were different. And that difference was about to change everything. The Great Assembly Hall on Concordia Prime had never been so tense. Admiral Yoonji Kang stood at the central podium, looking up at the thousands of alien delegates seated in circular tiers around her. Representatives from every major species in the galaxy had come to hear the report on humanity. "Honorable delegates," Yoonji began, her voice carrying clearly through the vast chamber, "I present the findings of our investigation into the species designation. First in relentless spirit." The hall fell completely silent. Even the Nathari, who usually whispered constantly among themselves, stopped their gaseous conversations. "After extensive study, we have confirmed that humans possess a unique trait never before observed in galactic civilization," Yoonji continued. "They appear incapable of accepting permanent limitations." A ripple of uneasy movement passed through the assembly. The Vorthak delegates pulsed with nervous light. The Zephyrians shifted in their seats. The Corvani made grinding sounds that indicated concern. "What does this mean for the stability of our galaxy?" asked Delegate Thexmore of the Vorthak Empire. The crystal being's voice rang like struck bells. "That is what we are here to discuss," Yoonji replied. She activated the large display screen behind her, showing charts and graphs of human development. The upward lines that never leveled off caused audible gasps from many delegates. In the human section of the assembly, Councillor Do-hyun Bai watched the reaction with growing worry. He had served as humanity's representative to the Concordium for 2 years, working to build good relationships with other species. Now he saw fear in many alien faces. These projections suggest humans will eventually surpass all other species in every field, observed Delegate Krethak of the Insectoid Collective. How long before they no longer need the rest of us? The question is not whether they will need us, replied Delegate Yelfari of the Zephyrian Trade Union. The question is whether they will want us around once they become powerful enough to take whatever they desire. Murmurs of agreement echoed through the assembly. Do-hyun stood up from his seat. Honorable delegates, may I speak? After a moment of hesitation, the assembly speaker granted permission. Do-hyun walked to the center of the hall, feeling thousands of alien eyes watching him. I understand your concerns, he said, his voice steady despite the pressure. But I think you misunderstand my people's nature. How so? Asked the Vorthak delegate. Yes, humans never stop growing. But we do not grow by taking from others. We grow by lifting everyone up with us. Easy words, rumbled a Korvani delegate. But what proof do you offer? Do-hyun activated his personal datapad and new images appeared on the main screen. In the 5 years since joining the Concordium, humans have shared every major breakthrough we have made. Our improvements to faster-than-light engines, given freely to all member species. Our advances in medical technology, distributed at no cost. Our new agricultural techniques, taught to any world that wants to learn. But why? Asked an Athari delegate, its gaseous form swirling with confusion. Why give away your advantages? Because we do not see them as advantages over you, Do-hyun explained. We see them as gifts we can share with friends. The hall erupted in debate. Some delegates argued that human generosity proved they were not a threat. Others insisted it might be a clever strategy to make other species dependent on human technology. Admiral Yoonji called for order. We have additional information that may help inform this discussion. She gestured to the observation balcony, where Commander Jinwoo Lee and Dr. Yeji Han waited with their final reports. Commander Lee, please share your conclusions. Jinwoo stepped forward. Honorable delegates, I have lived among humans on their home world for a month. I have observed them closely. What I found was troubling, but not in the way you might expect. He paused, choosing his words carefully. Humans are indeed relentless in their drive to improve and grow, but they are equally relentless in their desire to help others do the same. Explain, demanded a Korvani delegate. They do not compete to destroy their rivals. They compete to inspire them. When a human achieves something great, their first impulse is to teach others how they did it. Dr. Yeji Han stepped forward next. My biological analysis supports this conclusion. Human brain structure makes them naturally curious and dissatisfied with current limitations, but it also makes them highly social and cooperative. They cannot be happy unless their entire community is progressing alongside them. Their community? Asked the Vorthak delegate. Yes, and I believe they now consider the entire galaxy to be their community. The debate continued for hours. Some species expressed cautious optimism about humanity's potential contributions. Others remained deeply suspicious of a species that refused to accept the natural order of things. Delegate Morgeth of the Kretak Collective raised what many considered the key question. Even if humans mean well now, what happens when they become powerful enough to impose their will on the rest of us? Every species changes when it gains sufficient power. Perhaps, Do-hyun replied. But consider this. Humans have had the power to destroy their own world for over a century. They have weapons that could turn Earth into a dead rock, yet they have never used them, not even during their worst conflicts. That proves nothing, Morgeth argued. Destroying your own world is different from controlling others. At that moment, an aide rushed into the assembly hall and whispered urgently to Admiral Yoonji. Her expression changed as she listened to the message. Delegates, she announced. I have just received a priority communication from Earth. It seems relevant to our discussion. The main screen changed to show a live video feed from Earth. It displayed a massive construction project in Earth's orbit. Hundreds of ships worked together, building something enormous. This is Minho Park, Chief Engineer of Project Beacon, said a human voice. We are pleased to announce the completion of our gift to the galaxy. The camera pulled back to reveal a structure the size of a small moon. It pulsed with gentle light and hummed with power. "This is a knowledge beacon," Minho continued. "It contains every piece of scientific and technological information humanity has ever discovered. The beacon will broadcast this knowledge continuously to every world in the galaxy, free of charge. Forever." "The beacon also includes something new," added another voice. Dr. Jiwan's song appeared on the screen. "We have solved the problem of faster-than-light communication. This beacon can instantly share information across any distance. What one world learns, all worlds will know immediately." The assembly hall fell silent. This was beyond anything anyone had expected. "Why?" asked a Zephyrian delegate speaking to the screen. "Why give away your greatest achievements?" "Because knowledge grows when it is shared," Jiwan replied. "If we keep our discoveries to ourselves, we only help ourselves. If we share them, we help everyone. And when everyone grows stronger and smarter, they discover new things that we can all learn from. Besides," Minho added with a smile, "we are already working on even better technologies. By the time you master what we are sharing today, we will have new gifts to offer." The video feed ended, leaving the assembly in stunned silence. After a long moment, Delegate Thexmore of the Vorthak spoke carefully. "They give away their most precious secrets and then immediately begin working on something better?" "That is what humans do," Do-hyun confirmed. "They cannot help themselves." "This is either the greatest generosity in galactic history," observed the Nathari delegate, "or the most sophisticated psychological manipulation ever attempted." "I have studied them closely," Dr. Yejihan interjected. "I believe it is genuine generosity. Humans are happiest when they are helping others achieve their potential." "But what if they are wrong?" asked a Corvani delegate. "What if their relentless pushing leads to disaster?" "Then they will find a way to fix it," Do-hyun replied. "That is also what humans do." Admiral Yunji looked around the Great Hall. "We have much to consider. I propose we take a recess to allow delegates time to discuss these revelations with their governments." As the assembly broke up into smaller groups, the conversations were intense. Some species saw humanity as a tremendous opportunity. Others viewed them as an unpredictable disruption to the galactic order. But everyone agreed on one thing: the galaxy would never be the same again. In the human delegation area, Do-hyun sat quietly, hoping his people's nature would be seen as a blessing rather than a threat. Around him, the future of human-alien relations was being decided by beings who were only just beginning to understand what first and relentless spirit really meant. 6 months after the Great Assembly, the Concordium High Council reached a decision. They would test humanity's relentless spirit in the most challenging way possible. The message arrived at Earth's Government Center on a quiet Tuesday morning. Soon-ho Kim, Director of Human Colonial Development, read it 3 times before he fully understood what the aliens were asking. "They want us to terraform Kepler 442c within 10 standard years," he said to his assembled staff, using only basic equipment. His deputy, Naeun Jung, pulled up data on the target world. The images on her screen showed a dead rock orbiting a dim red star. The atmosphere was poisonous. The soil was toxic. The temperature swung from freezing to boiling depending on the season. "No species has ever successfully terraformed a world under these conditions," she observed. "The Concordium tried twice with much better equipment. Both attempts failed." "I know," Sunho replied. "That is exactly why they chose this challenge. The project requirements were deliberately harsh. Humanity could use only technology available to other Concordium species 50 years ago. No advanced AI systems, no quantum processors, no self-repairing materials. They would have to succeed with primitive tools and human determination alone. If we fail, it proves we are no different from other species," explained atmospheric engineer Kyungmin Oh. "If we succeed, it might prove we are too dangerous to trust. And if we refuse to try?" asked systems coordinator Heron Shin. "Then we show fear of failure, which would also prove we are normal," Sunho answered. "Either way, this test will define humanity's future in the galaxy." To everyone's surprise, Sunho accepted the challenge immediately. He did not ask for easier conditions. He did not negotiate for better equipment. He simply said yes. Within 2 weeks, the first human ships departed for Kepler 442c. The fleet consisted of 12 vessels carrying 300 volunteers and enough supplies for 2 years. After that, they would have to survive on what they could produce from the dead world. Dr. Jiwan Song led the scientific team. She had studied every failed terraforming attempt in Concordium history and understood exactly how difficult their task would be. The atmosphere contains sulfur, compounds that will eat through most metals, she explained during the journey. The soil is so acidic that nothing can grow in it. The weather patterns are chaotic and violent. So what do? Asked botanist Nyan Jung. We adapt, we improvise, we find ways to turn these problems into solutions. How? I have no idea yet. But we will figure it out. When they arrived at Kepler 442c, the reality was even worse than the report suggested. The planet's surface was covered with jagged rocks and pools of acid. Toxic storms raged across empty wastelands. Nothing lived there and nothing ever had. The first months were a disaster. Equipment failed constantly in the harsh environment. The acidic atmosphere ate through their protective suits. 3 team members were injured when a sulfur geyser erupted without warning. Most species would have given up and requested rescue. Instead, the humans got creative. When their metal tools dissolved in the acid rain, engineer Minho Park developed ceramic replacements made from processed local rocks. When their air filters clogged with toxic particles, chemist Minji Park created biological scrubbers using modified earth bacteria. The breakthrough came when they realized their biggest problem could become their biggest asset. The planet's toxic atmosphere contained all the chemicals they needed for terraforming, just in the wrong combinations. The sulfur compounds that are poisoning us can be converted into soil nutrients, Jiwan explained during a team meeting in their makeshift laboratory. The methane storms can provide carbon for plant growth. Even the acid rain contains trace minerals we need. But how do we process it all without advanced equipment? Asked Kyungmin. We build our own equipment. From scratch. What followed was 6 years of the most innovative engineering in human history. Using only basic tools and salvage materials, the colonists constructed an entire industrial complex. They built atmospheric processors from ceramic pipes and bacterial filters. They created soil treatment plants using nothing but chemical reactions and human ingenuity. They even constructed weather modification systems from spare parts and mathematical calculations. Every setback became a learning opportunity. When their first biodome collapsed in a storm, they designed better structures. When their crops died from soil toxicity, they developed hardier plants. When their power systems failed, they found new energy sources. The other species watched with growing amazement. Concordium observers sent regular reports describing human innovations that violated accepted scientific principles. They have created a functioning ecosystem in conditions that should support no life, reported Vorthak scientist Kethmore. Their methods are crude, but their results are unprecedented. How are they surviving equipment failures that would cripple our best expeditions? Asked Zephyrian engineer Veltak. They repair everything themselves, the observer replied. When something breaks, they do not replace it. They rebuild it better than before. The turning point came in year 7 when disaster struck. A massive earthquake shattered their main atmospheric processing facility. Toxic gases flooded into their habitat domes. Half their equipment was destroyed. Any other species would have abandoned the project. Instead, project coordinator Sang-Yeon Ko called an emergency meeting. We have 3 choices, he announced to the surviving colonists. We can request evacuation and admit defeat. We can try to rebuild exactly what we had before, or we can use this disaster as an opportunity to build something better. How is destroying our life support system an opportunity? Asked someone from the back of the room. Because now we know exactly what does not work, Sang-Yeon replied. We can design systems that will never fail this way again. The reconstruction took 2 years of intense work. But when it was finished, the new facilities were more efficient than anything the Concordium had ever built. The humans had turned a catastrophic failure into their greatest success. By year 9, Kepler 442c had breathable air. By year 10, green plants covered thousands of square kilometers. The dead world was alive, but the real miracle was not the terraforming itself. It was what the humans did next. We are preparing complete documentation of everything we learned, Jiwan announced to the Concordium observers. Every technique, every innovation, every mistake, and how we fixed it. We will share all of it freely with any species that wants to attempt terraforming. Why? Asked the Vorthak observer. This knowledge could give humanity a tremendous advantage in colonization. Because the galaxy is full of dead worlds that could support life, Jiwan replied. If we help other species learn our techniques, millions of worlds could become homes for billions of people. But you struggled for 10 years to develop these methods. Why give them away so easily? Because we are already working on better methods, Sangyeon added with a smile. What we learned here is just the beginning. The final reports from Kepler 442c shocked the entire Concordium. Humanity had not just passed the test, they had redefined what was considered possible. More importantly, they had once again chosen to share their hardest-won knowledge with everyone else. Admiral Yoonji Kang read the reports in her office on Concordia Prime. Outside her window, she could see human construction ships working on new projects alongside alien vessels. The cooperation was unprecedented. They really cannot help themselves, she murmured to her aide. They have to keep pushing forward, and they have to bring everyone else with them. Is that good or bad for the galaxy, Admiral? Yoonji was quiet for a long moment. I think it is going to be magnificent. Back on the newly green world of Kepler 442c, Chae-young-im stood in a garden that had been impossible just 10 years before. She was humanity's newest deep space navigator, preparing for the next great challenge. The test had proven that humans were indeed first in relentless spirit. Now the question was what they would do with that recognition. The answer, as always with humans, was simple. They would reach for the next impossible goal and invite everyone else to come along for the journey. 2 years after the successful terraforming of Kepler 442c, the galaxy had changed in ways nobody had expected. The completion ceremony for humanity's greatest project was about to begin, but this time it was different. They were not celebrating alone. Counselor Ji-hyun-an stood on the observation deck of the new orbital station above Kepler 442c, watching ships arrive from across the galaxy. Vorthak crystal vessels sparkled like jewels in the starlight. Zephyrian trade ships gleamed silver against the black of space. Even the usually isolated Nathari had sent representatives in their specialized atmospheric containers. Never thought I would see the day when all these species would come together for a human celebration, said Project Coordinator Sang-yeon Ko, joining her at the window. This is not just a human celebration anymore, Ji-hyun replied. Look at what we have accomplished together. Below them, the surface of Kepler 442c bloomed with life. But it was not just earth plants growing in the soil. Vorthak crystal gardens reflected rainbow light across the valleys. Zephyrian windflowers danced in the gentle breeze. Corvani metal trees created music as their leaves chimed together. The terraforming project had become something much bigger than anyone had planned. When humans shared their techniques freely with other species, those species had not just copied the methods. They had improved them, adapted them, and added their own innovations. The Nathari gas plants are processing the atmosphere 3 times faster than our original biological filters, Sang-yeon observed. And the Corvani mineral extractors are pulling nutrients from rocks we thought were useless. That is what happens when you combine human determination with alien creativity, Ji-hyun said with satisfaction. The ceremony began at sunset, with representatives from 18 different species gathered in the new central plaza. Captain Chae-young-im, now promoted to admiral, gave the opening speech. Friends and allies, she began, her voice carrying clearly through the translation devices. 2 years ago, humanity was given a test. We were asked to make life grow on a dead world. We succeeded, but not in the way anyone expected. She gestured to the mixed crowd of humans and aliens around her. We discovered that the real miracle was not turning rock into soil or poison into air. The real miracle was learning to work together as one people, sharing one dream. A Vorthak delegate stepped forward, her crystal body pulsing with warm light. Before working with humans, my people had not developed new crystal growing techniques in 50,000 years. In just 2 years of collaboration, we have discovered 17 new methods. Our trading routes have expanded into regions we never thought profitable, added a Zephyrian representative. Human partners showed us that impossible destinations become possible when you refuse to accept limitations. But the most moving speech came from an unexpected source. Delegate Morgith of the Kretak Collective, who had originally opposed human membership in the Concordium, spoke with obvious emotion. I feared humans because they never stopped growing, the insect-like being clicked in his native language. I thought they would outgrow us and leave us behind. Instead, they have shown us how to grow alongside them. My hive has learned more in 2 years than in the previous 2 centuries. That is because learning is contagious, replied Dr. Ji-won Song, now Director of Interspecies Scientific Exchange. When one person discovers something new, they want to share it. When they share it, others improve on it. When others improve on it, everyone benefits. The formal ceremony concluded with the planting of a special tree. It had been genetically designed by a joint team of human, Vorthak, and Silvani scientists. Its roots would spread deep into the soil, its branches would reach high into the sky, and its seeds would travel to other worlds carried by the wind. Let this tree be a symbol, Admiral Chae-young said as she placed the sapling into the rich earth. Like humanity, it will never stop growing. Like our friendship with other species, it will spread its benefits far beyond where it was planted. As applause echoed across the plaza, Ji-hyun noticed something remarkable. The human colonists were not the only ones working on expansion projects. Vorthak engineers were designing crystal cities for the northern continents. Zephyrian traders were planning commercial centers at the major transportation hubs. Corvani artists were creating sculptures that would grow and change along with the developing ecosystem. Everyone was thinking ahead. Everyone was planning for growth. The human spirit of relentless advancement had become infectious. Later that evening, Ji-hyun walked through the residential areas of New Harmony, the planet's first major city. Human families lived next to Vorthak crystal clusters. Zephyrian wind homes shared neighborhoods with Corvani metal dwellings. Children of different species played together in parks that mixed earthgrass with alien flowering vines. She stopped at a small school where youngsters of 5 different species attended classes together. Through the window, she could see a human teacher and a Nathari instructor working together to explain advanced mathematics to their mixed audience. Aunt Ji-hyun, called a voice in Korean. A 10-year-old human girl named Yuna ran up to her, followed by 2 Vorthak younglings and a small Zephyrian child. Hello, Yuna. Are these your classmates? Yes. We are working on a project to design better air purifiers for the southern desert. Keithlin knows how to grow crystals that filter gases, and Velyar understands wind patterns, and I know about chemical processes. That sounds very advanced for children your age. Teacher Song says there is no such thing as too advanced if you are willing to learn. One of the Vorthak younglings chimed, its small crystal body glowing with excitement. As the children ran off to continue their work, Ji-hyun smiled. This was how the galaxy would change. Not through conquest or competition, but through cooperation and shared curiosity. A message alert on her personal communicator interrupted her thoughts. It was from Admiral Yoonji Kang at Concordium headquarters. Counselor An, please report to the orbital station's communication center. Priority message from Earth. Curious, Ji-hyun made her way to the station and activated the long-range communication system. The main screen flickered to life, showing a familiar face from Earth. Greetings from Luna Base, said Dr. Tae-hyung Nam, now Director of Human Deep Space Exploration. I have exciting news to share with our friends on Kepler 442c. The image shifted to show a massive construction project in Earth's orbit. But this was unlike anything humanity had built before. The ship was enormous with sections designed for different atmospheric conditions and gravity levels. This is the Harmony, Tae-hyung continued, our first truly interspecies exploration vessel. It has living quarters for humans, crystal growing chambers for Vorthak, atmospheric zones for Nathari, and specialized workshops for Corvani. Where are you planning to go? Ji-hyun asked, beyond the rim of known space. There are unexplored galaxies out there, and we think it is time for all of us to see what is waiting. The implications were staggering. Humanity was not content to explore just their own galaxy. They wanted to reach even further, and they wanted to take their alien friends with them. The ship will be ready in 6 months, Tae-hyung added. We are looking for volunteers from all species. Who wants to help us discover what lies beyond the edge of everything we know? Ji-hyun looked around the communications center. Representatives from every species present were already volunteering for the mission. The human spirit of relentless exploration had spread to them all. Over the following months, similar scenes played out across the galaxy. The scanner that had once marked humanity as unique was now detecting the same relentless spirit trait in dozens of other species. Humans had not just proven they were different, they had taught others to be different too. Admiral Chae-young stood on the bridge of the Harmony 6 months later, looking at her crew. Half were human, half were various alien species. All shared the same excited anticipation for the journey ahead. Navigation, Set course for the galactic rim, she commanded. Course laid in, Admiral, replied Navigator Seok-Jin Yu. Estimated time to unknown space, 14 standard days. Engineering, all systems ready? All systems optimal, Admiral, reported Chief Engineer Minho Park. The Vorthak crystal drive cores are performing better than expected, and the Nathari atmospheric processors are running at peak efficiency. Science team, are you prepared for whatever we might find? We have protocols ready for any scenario we can imagine, answered Science Director Jiwon Song. And for scenarios we cannot imagine, we have backup protocols, communications. Send a message to all Concordium worlds. Channel open. Admiral, Chae-young looked directly into the camera, knowing her words would reach every inhabited planet in the galaxy. Citizens of the Concordium, this is Admiral Chae-young-im of the exploration vessel Harmony. We are beginning our journey to the unknown regions beyond our galaxy. We go not as conquerors but as friends. We carry with us the hopes and dreams of every species that calls this galaxy home. She paused, looking around at her diverse crew. We are no longer just human or Vorthak or Zephyrian or Corvani. We are explorers. We are dreamers. We are beings who refuse to accept that we have seen all there is to see. To those watching from your home worlds, remember this. There are no limits except those we accept. There are no impossible dreams except those we stow.